If I told you that the golden spice sitting quietly in your kitchen could help you finally sleep through the night, deeply, peacefully, and naturally, would you believe me? Because in the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly how 1 teaspoon of turmeric, used the right way, can reset your body's sleep rhythm faster than you might imagine. Sleep, it's the most natural medicine our body has, and yet millions of people spend their nights staring at the ceiling, wide awake, exhausted but unable to drift off. You might have tried everything: sleep apps, supplements, teas, even prescription pills, and still the problem remains. But what if the solution isn't something you need to buy from a pharmacy, but something already in your kitchen cabinet? I'm talking about turmeric, a spice so ordinary we sprinkle it without a second thought, yet within it lies one of nature's most remarkable molecules: curcumin. Today, I want to show you how curcumin interacts with your brain, your gut, and your immune system in a way that can help restore your body's natural ability to fall asleep and stay asleep. Because deep healing rest isn't a luxury, it's your body's right. And by the end of this talk, you'll understand why turmeric works, how to use it correctly, and the science behind its power to calm the body and reset your biological clock. So stay with me. What you'll hear today could change not only your nights, but your days as well. We often think of sleeplessness as something caused by stress, overthinking, or maybe just too much coffee after dinner. But what most people don't realize is that insomnia often begins with something much deeper and quieter happening inside the body: inflammation. This isn't the type of inflammation you feel when you sprain an ankle or catch a cold. It's microscopic, invisible, and chronic, a kind of low-level fire burning inside your cells. This internal stress can confuse the very signals your body relies on to rest. You see, the human body runs on a rhythm, a 24-hour internal clock known as the circadian rhythm. It governs when you feel alert, when you feel sleepy, how your metabolism functions, and even how your immune system responds. When inflammation disrupts this rhythm, your body stops producing sleep hormones at the right time. The brain, in particular, is sensitive to inflammation. Inside your brain lies the pineal gland, which releases melatonin, the hormone that tells your body it's time to rest. When inflammation enters the picture, it interferes with this delicate process, and your pineal gland struggles to send the sleep signal. You might feel tired but wired, physically exhausted, yet unable to drift off. That's not a lack of willpower. It's biology working against you. Modern life is a perfect recipe for this kind of imbalance. Late-night screen exposure floods your eyes with blue light, tricking your brain into thinking it's daytime. Processed foods high in sugar and refined oils trigger inflammatory pathways. Chronic stress floods your bloodstream with cortisol, which keeps your body in a constant state of alertness. Over time, all of these factors compound, creating a physiological environment where sleep becomes nearly impossible. Your nervous system stays activated, your digestion slows down, your heart rate refuses to lower, and your mind begins to race even when you're lying perfectly still. When you look at the data, it's no surprise that sleep problems have become so common. Studies suggest that up to 1 in 3 adults experience regular insomnia, and many more suffer from fragmented or shallow sleep without even realizing it. This is where turmeric enters the story, not as a trendy supplement, but as a scientifically validated natural anti-inflammatory agent. The golden compound within turmeric, called curcumin, has been shown to suppress the activity of NF-κB, one of the main proteins that controls inflammation in the body. When NF-κB is chronically active, it triggers a cascade of inflammatory chemicals called cytokines that interfere with normal hormonal signaling, including melatonin production. By calming NF-κB and reducing cytokine activity, curcumin helps restore balance to the chemical environment inside your body. In simple terms, it helps the body remember how to sleep. In animal models, researchers observed that curcumin not only reduced inflammation in the brain, but also increased antioxidant activity, protecting brain cells from oxidative stress, which can also impair sleep regulation. It's like turning down the volume on the body's internal noise, allowing the natural rhythm of rest and recovery to emerge again. Let me give you an example. A middle-aged man I once spoke with had struggled with restless sleep for years. He worked late hours, ate irregular meals, and lived under constant pressure. By the time he tried to go to bed, his body simply wouldn't relax. He'd wake up several times during the night, often drenched in sweat or feeling anxious for no reason. When we examined his diet, it was filled with inflammatory triggers, fried foods, refined carbohydrates, and almost no anti-inflammatory ingredients. I suggested he start adding turmeric to his daily meals, just half a teaspoon stirred into soups or lentils, and pair it with a few simple breathing exercises before bed. Within 3 weeks, he reported that his mind felt calmer at night and his sleep became deeper. Nothing magical happened. What changed was his biology. The turmeric helped quiet the chronic inflammation that had been stimulating his nervous system, allowing his brain to finally produce melatonin naturally again. Science backs up stories like his. A 2017 study published in the Journal of Medicinal Food showed that curcumin supplementation significantly reduced markers of inflammation, such as C-reactive protein, CRP, in people with metabolic syndrome, a condition strongly linked to poor sleep. Another study found that curcumin improves sleep quality in individuals suffering from anxiety and depression, not by acting as a sedative, but by normalizing brain chemistry and reducing oxidative damage in neurons. This is the beauty of turmeric. It doesn't force your body to sleep, it simply restores its natural ability to do so. The fascinating part is how inflammation affects not just the mind, but the entire sleep architecture. Deep sleep, known as slow-wave sleep, is the stage where your body heals. Muscles repair, tissues regenerate, and the brain clears out toxins. Chronic inflammation shortens this stage, leaving you trapped in lighter phases of sleep. You might sleep for 8 hours and still wake up feeling unrefreshed. Turmeric's role in reducing inflammation allows your body to re-enter those deeper stages of sleep, where real healing occurs. Think of it like clearing static from a radio signal. Suddenly, everything comes through clearly again. There's another mechanism at play too. Inflammation triggers overactivity in the sympathetic nervous system, also known as the fight-or-flight system. When this system stays on even during the night, your heart rate stays elevated, your breathing remains shallow, and your brain stays alert. Curcumin helps calm this response by regulating the production of inflammatory messengers that stimulate the sympathetic system. As a result, your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode, can take over again, allowing your body to unwind and prepare for restorative sleep. Turmeric's effects aren't limited to supplements either. You can integrate it naturally into your daily life, add it to curries, blend it into smoothies, or mix it into warm milk before bed. The consistent intake of turmeric gradually lowers the baseline level of inflammation in the body. When that happens, your circadian rhythm starts to reset itself. You'll find yourself feeling sleepy at the right time, waking up refreshed, and no longer relying on external aids to rest. Over time, your body begins to remember what deep, uninterrupted sleep actually feels like. So when you think about why you can't sleep, look beyond the usual suspects like caffeine or stress. Consider what's happening at the cellular level, the quiet, hidden inflammation that might be preventing your brain from finding peace. And consider that something as simple as a golden spice, one that humans have used for thousands of years, might hold the key to restoring that peace from within. For decades, scientists believed that sleep was controlled solely by the brain, that the mind alone dictated when we rest and when we wake. But recent research has completely rewritten that understanding. We now know that the gut, often called the body's second brain, plays a major role in controlling our sleep cycles, mood, and even dreams. This might sound surprising, but about 90% of the body's serotonin, the neurotransmitter responsible for regulating mood and sleep, is actually produced in the gut, not the brain. Serotonin later converts into melatonin, the hormone that helps us drift into deep, restorative sleep. So when your gut is inflamed, imbalanced, or overrun by harmful bacteria, it directly affects your ability to fall asleep and stay asleep through the night. The gut and brain are connected by a direct communication line called the vagus nerve, which constantly sends signals back and forth. If your gut is unhappy, your brain receives distress signals that can trigger anxiety, stress, and restlessness, all of which destroy sleep quality. Here's where turmeric becomes a powerful ally. The golden compound curcumin doesn't just reduce inflammation in your brain, it actively heals the gut lining, balances your microbiome, and strengthens communication along the gut-brain axis. When the intestinal walls become leaky or irritated due to stress, processed food, or antibiotics, toxins and partially digested particles enter the bloodstream, leading to a condition known as leaky gut syndrome. These toxins can trigger systemic inflammation that reaches the brain, disrupting neurotransmitter production and elevating stress hormones. Turmeric helps by tightening the junctions between intestinal cells and reducing the inflammatory signals that cause leaky gut in the first place. By healing the gut lining, it stops that flood of inflammatory messengers from ever reaching your brain. This allows your nervous system to quiet down, paving the way for deep, natural sleep to return. There's also a microbial story happening beneath the surface. Inside your gut are trillions of bacteria, collectively known as the microbiome. Some of these bacteria promote calmness and sleep. For instance, certain species of lactobacillus and bifidobacterium produce neurotransmitters like GABA and serotonin that tell your brain it's safe to relax. But when the gut becomes imbalanced, these beneficial microbes are overpowered by harmful bacteria that produce toxins and stress-related chemicals. This imbalance, called dysbiosis, sends constant danger signals through the vagus nerve, keeping the body in an alert state and making restful sleep almost impossible. Curcumin has been shown in studies to encourage the growth of beneficial bacteria while suppressing harmful strains. In one clinical study, participants who consumed turmeric daily for just 2 weeks showed not only better digestion, but also reported more consistent sleep patterns and fewer nighttime awakenings. Their gut health improved, but so did their brain's ability to stay calm at night, demonstrating how deeply intertwined these systems truly are. Let's take a real-life example. A woman in her mid-30s came to me struggling with what she described as nighttime anxiety. She would lie awake for hours, her mind racing for no apparent reason. She also complained of bloating, irregular digestion, and constant fatigue during the day. Instead of focusing on her sleep directly, we worked on her gut first. She began incorporating turmeric into her evening routine, half a teaspoon mixed into warm almond milk with a pinch of black pepper and a touch of honey. We also added more probiotic-rich foods like yogurt and kefir. Within 10 days, her digestion began to normalize. By the 3rd week, she reported that she was falling asleep faster and waking up less often. What changed? Her gut inflammation decreased, beneficial bacteria flourished, and the brain started receiving clear, calm signals instead of inflammatory alarms. She didn't sedate her brain, she soothed it through her gut. From a biological standpoint, this is extraordinary. Curcumin interacts directly with gut cells and even alters gene expression in the intestinal lining. It boosts the production of short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, which nourish the cells of the colon and strengthen the gut barrier. Butyrate also plays an indirect role in sleep by modulating the production of tryptophan, the amino acid precursor to serotonin. In other words, by healing your gut, turmeric helps your body manufacture the very chemicals it needs to produce melatonin naturally. This creates a self-sustaining cycle. Better gut health leads to better sleep, and better sleep promotes healthier digestion and microbial diversity. The two systems reinforce one another in a loop of restoration and balance. Another fascinating aspect of this gut-sleep connection is how inflammation in the digestive tract affects the vagus nerve tone. The vagus nerve acts like a communication highway between the gut and the brain. When it's functioning optimally, it transmits signals that promote relaxation, lower heart rate, and enhance parasympathetic nervous system activity, all necessary for deep rest. But chronic gut inflammation weakens vagal tone, meaning the nerve can't send calming messages effectively. Curcumin helps strengthen vagal tone by reducing inflammation along the gut wall and restoring healthy microbial balance. When the vagus nerve begins sending stronger signals again, your entire nervous system recalibrates toward rest rather than tension. This is why so many people who begin using turmeric before bed report not only sleeping better but also feeling calmer throughout the day. The brain and gut are finally working in harmony. If you think about it, this explains why digestive issues and sleep problems often appear together. People who experience irritable bowel syndrome, bloating, or acid reflux frequently report insomnia or restless nights. The discomfort isn't just physical, it's biochemical. Their gut inflammation feeds into the brain's arousal system. By soothing the digestive tract, turmeric breaks this chain reaction. It calms the gut, quiets the vagus nerve, and tells the brain that it's time to shift into recovery mode. This is a completely different approach from typical sleep aids, which attempt to override the brain's natural chemistry. Turmeric, on the other hand, repairs the internal communication that allows your body to choose rest. Turmeric's influence on the gut microbiome even extends to mood regulation, which is tightly linked with sleep quality. Studies have shown that curcumin can act as a mild antidepressant by improving gut health and boosting serotonin production. When you're emotionally stable and your gut is balanced, You're more likely to fall asleep easily because your body isn't flooded with stress chemicals. That's why people who start using turmeric regularly often describe not just better sleep, but also improved mood, digestion, and energy levels. Everything begins to work in sync again, as if the body remembers its natural rhythm. Imagine sipping a warm golden cup of turmeric milk before bed. As it flows through your body, it doesn't just warm you. It nourishes the millions of microbes living inside you, reduces inflammation in your gut lining, and sends quiet signals up the vagus nerve that say, it's safe to rest. Within minutes, your breathing deepens, your muscles loosen, and your mind stops racing. That's not a placebo effect. It's the biological rhythm of the gut and brain returning to balance, guided by one of nature's simplest yet most powerful medicines. When we talk about sleeplessness, we often describe it as something psychological. Too much on our minds, too many worries, too much pressure. But underneath those feelings lies a very real biochemical story involving a single hormone called cortisol. Cortisol is the body's main stress hormone, produced by the adrenal glands and regulated by a system called the HPA axis, short for hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. This system acts like your body's thermostat for stress, controlling how you respond to challenges, danger, or emotional tension. In short bursts, cortisol is essential. It wakes you up in the morning, keeps you alert during the day, and helps your body manage energy efficiently. But when cortisol remains elevated for too long due to chronic stress, emotional strain, or even inflammation, it starts to disrupt your body's natural rhythm. Instead of lowering in the evening as it should, high cortisol keeps your body in survival mode, preventing relaxation and making it nearly impossible to fall asleep. You might lie in bed, physically exhausted but mentally restless, your heart still beating a little too fast, and your mind chasing thoughts that won't stop. That's not your imagination. That's cortisol doing exactly what it was designed to do, but at the wrong time. Turmeric, and specifically its active compound curcumin, has a remarkable ability to help the body regulate cortisol levels by calming the overactive HPA axis. When the HPA axis senses constant stress, it sends signals from the brain to the adrenal glands to produce more cortisol. Over time, this system becomes overstimulated, almost like a car engine stuck in high gear. Curcumin helps modulate this system by reducing inflammation in the brain regions that control it, particularly the hypothalamus and amygdala, which process emotional and physiological stress. Inflammation in these areas causes the brain to misread normal signals as threats, keeping cortisol high even when there's no real danger. By lowering this inflammation, curcumin helps the brain regain balance and stop sending false stress messages to the body. The result is a gradual reduction in cortisol levels, which in turn allows the nervous system to shift from fight or flight mode to rest and digest mode, the state necessary for deep restorative sleep. A fascinating study published in the Journal of Clinical Psychopharmacology demonstrated this effect clearly. Participants who supplemented with curcumin for 8 weeks showed not only reduced symptoms of anxiety and depression, but also significantly lower levels of cortisol in their saliva. Researchers concluded that curcumin's benefits were not sedative but regulatory. It didn't force the brain to calm down. It helped it return to its natural equilibrium. Another study from 2019 showed that curcumin increased the activity of GABA receptors in the brain, the same receptors targeted by many sleep medications. GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid, is a neurotransmitter that promotes calmness and relaxation. When GABA activity increases, your thoughts slow, your muscles relax, and your body begins to prepare naturally for rest. Turmeric's ability to influence both cortisol regulation and GABA activity creates a powerful double effect. It quiets the overactive stress response and promotes the neurochemical environment required for sleep. Consider a real-world example. A 42-year-old woman I met during a wellness retreat had been battling stress-related insomnia for nearly a decade. She worked in a demanding corporate job, spent late nights on her laptop, and woke up each morning feeling drained despite spending hours in bed. When we tested her cortisol levels, they were elevated almost all day, peaking in the evening when they should have been lowest. She described the feeling as being tired but wired, unable to switch off her thoughts. Instead of turning to sleeping pills, we focused on restoring her body's natural rhythm. She began taking a small dose of turmeric tea each night, made with half a teaspoon of turmeric powder, a pinch of black pepper, and a few drops of coconut oil. Within 2 weeks, she noticed that her mind felt lighter at night. By the 4th week, her sleep became deeper, and she no longer woke up at 3 a.m. drenched in anxiety. When she repeated her cortisol test after 2 months, the results showed a clear reduction, especially in evening levels. What she had done essentially was retrain her stress response through the gentle chemistry of food. The relationship between cortisol and sleep is cyclical. High cortisol disrupts sleep, and poor sleep elevates cortisol even more. This loop can become a self-feeding cycle of exhaustion and anxiety. Breaking this cycle requires lowering inflammation, balancing neurotransmitters, and teaching the HPA axis to rest, all of which turmeric supports naturally. Curcumin acts as an adaptogen, a compound that helps the body adapt to stress. Instead of blocking cortisol entirely, it helps normalize its rhythm. Higher during the day for alertness, lower at night for rest. This balancing act is critical because cortisol itself isn't bad. It's only when it loses rhythm that problems begin. Think of it as a song that's beautiful when played at the right tempo, but chaotic when out of sync. Turmeric helps bring the rhythm back. On a molecular level, curcumin influences the CRH, corticotropin-releasing hormone, the chemical signal that starts the cortisol cascade in the brain. It reduces the overproduction of CRH in response to stress, meaning fewer stress signals reach the adrenal glands. It also enhances the activity of antioxidant enzymes like superoxide dismutase, SOD, and glutathione peroxidase, which neutralize free radicals generated by chronic stress. These antioxidants protect the adrenal glands from burnout, allowing them to regulate cortisol more efficiently. Over time, this means that even if you face daily challenges, your stress response becomes less reactive and more resilient, the perfect internal condition for consistent, peaceful sleep. Another often overlooked connection is between cortisol and blood sugar. When cortisol levels are high, your body releases more glucose into the bloodstream for quick energy, preparing you for a fight-or-flight response. If this happens in the evening, that sudden energy spike can make you feel restless or jittery. Curcumin helps by improving insulin sensitivity and stabilizing blood sugar levels, preventing nighttime cortisol spikes that keep you awake. That's why combining turmeric with a bit of healthy fat like ghee or coconut milk can be so effective. It slows digestion, balances glucose, and extends the calming effects throughout the night. The emotional dimension of cortisol is equally powerful. Chronic stress makes your brain hypervigilant, always scanning for problems, replaying conversations, or predicting future challenges. Turmeric's influence on BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a protein that supports neuron growth and repair, helps the brain rewire itself away from these anxious thought loops. When BDNF levels rise, your brain becomes more flexible, better at adapting, and less likely to spiral into repetitive worry. Many people who start using turmeric regularly report not just better sleep, but also a subtle emotional resilience. They still experience stress, but it doesn't grip them the same way. The beauty of turmeric is that it doesn't numb or sedate you. It teaches your body to find calm through regulation, not suppression. Each evening cup of turmeric milk or tea signals your brain to lower its guard, to release the day's accumulated tension, and to restore balance within the HPA axis. As cortisol levels drop naturally, your heartbeat slows, your muscles relax, and your breathing deepens. Slowly, your body transitions from defense to recovery, from vigilance to peace. This is what true sleep preparation feels like. Not forcing rest, but allowing it to emerge as the body remembers how to relax again. When people first hear about turmeric for sleep, their initial reaction is often excitement. They rush to their kitchen cabinets, scoop out a spoonful, and stir it into water or sprinkle it over their dinner, but after a few nights they say, "It didn't work." The reason isn't that turmeric failed them, it's that they didn't unlock it properly. You see, turmeric's power doesn't come alive until it's prepared the right way. Its most valuable compound, curcumin, is what gives turmeric its golden color and most of its healing properties. But curcumin is also notoriously difficult for the body to absorb. On its own, it passes through the digestive tract almost untouched. So, to truly use turmeric as a natural sleep aid, it must be combined with the right companions, specifically fat and black pepper, both of which activate and transport curcumin so your body can actually use it. Without these, nearly 90% of turmeric's potential remains locked away. Curcumin is fat-soluble, meaning it dissolves in fat rather than water. That's why adding a healthy fat source, such as milk, coconut milk, or ghee, transforms turmeric from a spice into a bioavailable medicine. The fat acts as a carrier, helping curcumin move through the intestinal walls and into the bloodstream where it can perform its work. But the story doesn't stop there. Black pepper contains a compound called piperine, which inhibits certain enzymes in the liver that normally break down curcumin too quickly. When these enzymes are slowed down, curcumin stays in your system longer and at higher concentrations. In fact, studies show that piperine can enhance curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. So, a pinch of black pepper isn't just for flavor. It's the key that unlocks turmeric's full potential. This is why the traditional Indian drink, known as golden milk or haldi doodh, has been used for centuries as a bedtime ritual, not just because it's soothing, but because it's scientifically sound. The combination of turmeric, warm milk, black pepper, and sometimes a touch of honey forms the perfect biological recipe for relaxation and absorption. To make this remedy truly effective for sleep, timing, and ritual matter just as much as chemistry. Drinking turmeric milk about 30 to 45 minutes before bed allows curcumin enough time to circulate through your system and start calming inflammation and stress pathways before you lie down. The warmth of the drink itself plays a role too. It raises your core body temperature slightly, and as your body cools down afterward, it signals to your brain that it's time for sleep. This natural drop in body temperature is one of the main cues your circadian rhythm uses to initiate rest. So, this simple cup of golden milk becomes not just a remedy, but a message to your body. The day is over. It's time to recover. You can even enhance its benefits by adding a few other natural ingredients. A slice of fresh ginger to soothe digestion, a sprinkle of cinnamon to balance blood sugar, or a drop of honey to support melatonin production. Each addition amplifies turmeric's effects in a gentle, synergistic way, helping both body and mind prepare for deep rest. Let me share an example. A 50-year-old man once told me he had tried everything to improve his sleep: magnesium supplements, melatonin pills, even prescription medications. Nothing worked for long. He suffered from mild arthritis, digestive discomfort, and an overactive mind at bedtime. When he heard about turmeric, he decided to try it his way, mixing turmeric powder directly into cold water. After a week, he felt no change and assumed the turmeric hype was a myth. When I asked him how he prepared it, the problem was clear. He wasn't activating it. I guided him through a new nighttime routine. Heat a cup of almond milk, stir in half a teaspoon of turmeric with a small pinch of black pepper and a drop of coconut oil, then add a little honey once it cooled slightly. He began drinking it every night about an hour before bed, while dimming his lights and avoiding screens. After 4 nights, he noticed he was falling asleep faster. By the second week, he said his joint stiffness in the mornings had eased, and he was sleeping through the night without waking. What changed wasn't just the addition of turmeric, it was the method and the consistency that transformed it into a healing ritual rather than a random experiment. Turmeric works gradually, not as a quick sedative, but as a regulator of the body's natural sleep mechanisms. Over time, consistent use calms inflammation, lowers cortisol levels, supports melatonin production, and enhances the body's ability to stay asleep. But the ritual of consuming it, the quiet act of preparing the drink, inhaling its earthy aroma, feeling its warmth, also trains the nervous system to associate that moment with rest. This is a form of neuroconditioning, where the brain begins to anticipate relaxation and sleep whenever that familiar flavor and scent appear. In traditional Ayurvedic medicine, this practice isn't seen merely as nutrition, but as a way of aligning the mind and body with the rhythm of nature. When you prepare turmeric in this mindful, consistent way, you're not just taking a supplement, you're building a bridge between ancient wisdom and modern biology. Science backs this up as well. A study published in Phytotherapy Research found that participants who consumed curcumin daily experienced improved sleep quality and reduced nighttime awakenings compared to those given a placebo. The researchers attributed this improvement to curcumin's combined effects on reducing oxidative stress, calming the nervous system, and promoting serotonin balance, all of which are enhanced when turmeric is consumed with fat and piperine. Another trial observed that curcumin users showed increased alpha brainwave activity, a pattern associated with relaxation and pre-sleep readiness. So, when people say turmeric makes them feel peaceful before bed, that sensation is rooted in measurable brain changes. To use turmeric correctly for sleep, consistency is more important than dosage. Start with small amounts, even half a teaspoon daily is enough, and build the habit. Some people prefer capsules or extracts, but the body often responds better to whole food forms where the spice is mixed with natural fats. Others use turmeric paste, sometimes called golden paste, which can be stored in the refrigerator and stirred into milk each night. This method ensures you're not skipping the key ingredients that activate its effects. And while it may seem simple, the discipline of preparing your golden milk at the same time each evening teaches your brain that rest follows this ritual, strengthening your internal rhythm. The warmth of turmeric milk, the soothing spices, and the biological precision behind their combination create something truly powerful, a nightly moment of healing where chemistry and calmness merge. It's not just about drinking a remedy, but about teaching your body to feel safe again at night. Because when you use turmeric the right way, with fat, with pepper, with patience, and with intention, you're not just taking a spice, you're activating a signal of balance that your body has been waiting to hear for far too long. Every night when we finally fall into deep sleep, something extraordinary happens inside the body. A quiet but powerful process of renewal begins. Deep sleep, also known as slow wave sleep, is when our brain waves slow down, our breathing deepens, and our cells begin their repair work. It's during this stage that our body regenerates tissues, builds bone and muscle, balances hormones, and clears out toxins that accumulate during the day. It is a biological cleansing, an internal reset that keeps us mentally sharp, emotionally balanced, and physically resilient. But when we miss out on deep sleep, this renewal process is interrupted. Cells remain unrepaired, waste products build up, inflammation increases, and we wake up feeling drained rather than restored. Chronic sleep deprivation doesn't just make us tired, it accelerates aging, weakens immunity, and increases the risk of diseases from diabetes to Alzheimer's. The good news is that the body can heal itself if we restore the right conditions for deep sleep, and one of the most potent natural tools to support this process is turmeric, specifically its active compound curcumin, which plays a crucial role in promoting cellular health and supporting the body's nighttime repair mechanisms. To understand how turmeric helps, we have to look at what happens in the cells during deep sleep. The body enters a mode of autophagy, a word that means self-eating. It sounds alarming, but it's actually one of the most beneficial processes for longevity. During autophagy, the body breaks down damaged cells, recycles their components, and replaces them with fresh, healthy ones. Think of it as spring cleaning at the cellular level. However, chronic inflammation, stress, and poor sleep habits can disrupt this process. When inflammation is high, the signals that trigger autophagy become weaker, and damaged cells accumulate instead of being cleared. Curcumin acts as a natural regulator of autophagy by activating specific cellular pathways, such as AMPK and SIRT1, which are known as longevity genes. By doing this, turmeric not only enhances the quality of deep sleep, but also improves what happens during that sleep. The body's ability to repair, rejuvenate, and protect itself from aging. Another essential repair process that takes place during deep sleep occurs in the brain through a system called the glymphatic pathway. This system is like a cleaning crew that flushes out toxins and metabolic waste from brain tissue, including harmful proteins like beta amyloid, which are linked to cognitive decline and memory loss. The glymphatic system only functions optimally when we're in deep sleep, and it relies heavily on proper circulation and low inflammation in the brain. When inflammation is high, the vessels that carry cerebrospinal fluid through the brain become constricted, reducing the efficiency of this cleanup system. Curcumin supports this process by improving blood vessel flexibility, reducing inflammation in neural tissue, and enhancing antioxidant defenses that protect the brain from oxidative stress. Researchers have observed that individuals who consume turmeric regularly not only report better sleep, but also show improved cognitive performance and sharper focus, signs that their brain's nightly restoration process is functioning more effectively. A compelling example comes from a man in his late 50s who had spent years waking up groggy and unrefreshed despite sleeping for 7 or 8 hours each night. He described it as never feeling like I actually slept. He also complained of joint stiffness, forgetfulness, and low energy during the day. When we looked deeper, it was clear that he was missing deep restorative sleep. His body was resting, but not repairing. I suggested he start a simple turmeric routine. Half a teaspoon of turmeric mixed with a pinch of black pepper and a bit of coconut oil, stirred into warm oat milk, and consumed about an hour before bed. Within 3 weeks, he noticed something remarkable. He began dreaming more vividly, his morning stiffness lessened, and he felt more alert upon waking. This wasn't just placebo. His body had finally begun entering deeper stages of sleep consistently, allowing his cells to repair and regenerate. Curcumin's anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects had helped clear the cellular noise that was preventing his system from resetting itself each night. Curcumin's influence on mitochondria, the tiny powerhouses within cells, is another reason it promotes deep restoration. Mitochondria are responsible for producing energy, but they also accumulate damage over time due to oxidative stress, the imbalance between free radicals and antioxidants. When mitochondrial function declines, cells become less efficient, and fatigue sets in, both physically and mentally. During deep sleep, the body repairs mitochondrial DNA and removes defective mitochondria, but this process is heavily influenced by oxidative stress levels. Curcumin enhances mitochondrial health by neutralizing free radicals and stimulating the production of new healthy mitochondria. This is one reason people who use turmeric regularly often say they feel more energetic and mentally clearer after a few weeks. Their cells are literally generating energy more efficiently because the repair cycle is functioning properly again. On a hormonal level, deep sleep is when the body releases growth hormone, a critical player in cellular regeneration. This hormone helps repair tissues, build lean muscle, and even maintain skin elasticity. However, stress and inflammation can suppress growth hormone release. Curcumin assists by lowering cortisol levels and supporting the balance of insulin and leptin, two hormones that influence how effectively the body transitions into deep sleep. By calming the nervous system and reducing metabolic stress, turmeric creates an internal environment where growth hormone can flow naturally, ensuring that every night's sleep becomes an opportunity for renewal. Beyond its internal cellular effects, turmeric's visible benefits often appear on the outside as well. People who start sleeping deeply after integrating turmeric into their routine frequently notice improvements in their skin tone, reduction in puffiness, and a brighter complexion. This isn't cosmetic coincidence, it's biology. During deep sleep, skin cells regenerate faster, collagen production increases, and circulation improves. Turmeric amplifies these effects through its anti-inflammatory and antioxidant actions. In traditional medicine, turmeric has long been used as both an internal and external rejuvenator, symbolizing vitality and purification. Modern science now explains why curcumin helps cells resist oxidative damage, maintain structural integrity, and function like younger, healthier versions of themselves. It's important to remember that turmeric doesn't act as a sedative forcing the body into rest. It restores the environment that allows sleep to do its natural work. By reducing inflammation, balancing stress hormones, improving circulation, and supporting cellular metabolism, it ensures that when you do fall asleep, that sleep is meaningful. It's the kind of rest that doesn't just leave you feeling rested but genuinely renewed. So, while most people think of sleep as a passive state, the truth is that it's the most active healing phase your body experiences, and turmeric, when used consistently, gives your cells the clarity, protection, and energy they need to perform that nightly miracle of regeneration. To truly experience the sleep-transforming power of turmeric, it's not enough to simply sprinkle it into your food once in a while. You must turn it into a nightly ritual. A moment of calm that signals to your body and mind that it's time to rest. Sleep is not something that just happens. It is something we prepare for. Our ancestors intuitively understood this. They didn't just end their day by collapsing into bed. They had routines that eased the transition from wakefulness to rest. In many cultures, especially in traditional Indian and Chinese medicine, turmeric was a part of this nightly preparation. It was believed that consuming it in warm milk or applying it externally as a paste help the body release the tension and inflammation accumulated throughout the day. Modern science now confirms that this isn't superstition but biochemistry in action. Curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, interacts with the body's nervous system, hormone balance, and inflammatory response, all of which determine how deeply we sleep. But to unlock its full benefit, timing, preparation, and pairing matter. Creating a turmeric ritual is not only about what you consume, but also about how you do it. When we introduce calmness, warmth, and intentionality into our evening, we tell our nervous system to switch from the fight or flight mode into the rest and digest state. This shift is critical because the parasympathetic nervous system governs deep relaxation, digestion, and sleep readiness. One of the simplest yet most powerful ways to achieve this is by preparing a golden milk, an ancient drink now backed by modern research for its sleep-inducing effects. The recipe is simple but potent. Half a teaspoon of turmeric powder, a pinch of black pepper to increase curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%, and a small amount of healthy fat like coconut oil or ghee, all mixed into a cup of warm milk or plant-based alternative. You can add a touch of cinnamon or honey for taste and additional relaxation benefits. The warmth of the drink, combined with turmeric's soothing properties, helps dilate blood vessels, calm the digestive system, and lower cortisol levels, preparing the body to drift into natural, deep rest. Let's consider an example. A woman in her early 40s, a marketing executive constantly juggling deadlines, reported years of poor sleep. She relied on coffee to stay awake and sleep aids to force herself to rest. Her nights were restless, filled with racing thoughts, and she woke up feeling drained. When she began a simple nightly turmeric ritual, she didn't change anything else in her lifestyle at first. She would turn off her screens an hour before bed, dim the lights, and prepare her golden milk slowly, stirring it mindfully, inhaling the aroma, allowing herself to unwind. Within 10 days, she noticed she was falling asleep faster, waking up fewer times at night, and feeling a surprising lightness in her mornings. Over the next month, her energy stabilized, her cravings for sugar and caffeine decreased, and she described a sense of inner quiet that she hadn't felt in years. What changed wasn't only the chemistry of her body, it was also the rhythm of her mind. The ritual itself became a form of meditation, signaling her system that rest was safe and welcome. What makes turmeric so effective when used this way is that it works both on the body and the mind. On the biological level, curcumin helps lower inflammatory markers that disrupt hormonal balance and sleep cycles. It assists in the regulation of tryptophan metabolism, ensuring that this essential amino acid converts properly into serotonin and later into melatonin, the sleep hormone. Without adequate serotonin or melatonin, the body struggles to maintain consistent sleep-wake patterns. By optimizing this conversion pathway, turmeric ensures that the brain produces melatonin naturally, allowing for smooth transitions into deep, restorative sleep. On the psychological level, the act of preparing and drinking turmeric milk slows the mind down, lowers stress hormones, and creates predictability, something the brain associates with safety. When you repeat this process night after night, it becomes a Pavlovian cue for relaxation. Your body begins to anticipate rest simply by the smell and warmth of the drink. Another powerful way to use turmeric in a nightly ritual is through aromatic and topical applications. Studies have shown that curcumin, when absorbed through the skin, can reduce local inflammation and promote muscle relaxation. For people who carry tension in their neck, shoulders, or legs, applying a gentle turmeric-infused oil before bed can be transformative. A simple homemade blend can be made by mixing turmeric powder with warm sesame or coconut oil. Massaging this oil onto sore areas or even the soles of the feet can calm the nervous system and stimulate parasympathetic activity. In Ayurveda, this practice is called abhyanga, and it's known for balancing energy, improving circulation, and grounding the mind before sleep. This combination of physical and sensory relaxation helps the brain transition smoothly into sleep, especially for those who struggle with restlessness or anxiety. Consistency is the key to unlocking turmeric's full potential. The body thrives on rhythm, and sleep is a rhythm that must be trained. Taking turmeric once or twice randomly won't create significant change. It's the regular, mindful use that brings transformation. Over time, your internal systems begin to sync again. Inflammation decreases, cortisol rhythms stabilize, melatonin flows naturally, and your sleep deepens. The results build quietly but powerfully. In one clinical observation, individuals who consumed turmeric milk nightly for a month not only reported improved sleep quality, but also lower nighttime anxiety and better morning energy. This pattern aligns with what researchers call sleep homeostasis, the process by which the brain balances wakefulness and rest efficiently once the chemical environment is restored. There's also an emotional layer to this practice. Modern life is full of sensory overload, constant scrolling, and endless stimulation. Many people go to bed still mentally tethered to their work, their screens, or their worries. A nightly turmeric ritual acts as a psychological anchor that marks the boundary between the outside world and the inner one. It's a message to yourself that the day's battles are over, that it's time to recharge. The warmth of the drink, the earthiness of the spice, the soft scent rising from the cup, all these small sensory experiences reconnect you with the body's natural intelligence. Turmeric becomes not just a supplement, but a symbol of self-care, a reminder that deep rest is not a luxury, but a biological necessity. Over time, as inflammation subsides, as hormones recalibrate, and as the nervous system finds its balance, sleep begins to flow more naturally. What was once a struggle becomes a gentle transition, the way nature intended it to be. Your body begins to recognize that nighttime is for restoration, your mind begins to trust that rest is possible, and your entire being starts to function in harmony again. Turmeric, used with intention and consistency, becomes more than just a spice. It becomes a bridge back to your most natural state of calm, balance, and renewal, one golden cup at a time.